I think that as we let people know that we're not perfect Mormons, then they can identify with that, and maybe it'll be helpful to someone. Because I can remember, and I'm sure you can too, when we were first married and we had little kids, everybody would tell us, "Oh, what cute kids you have, such a perfect little family." And we started to believe that. It takes time to become perfect, perhaps more time than what we have here on this earth. And we expect too much of ourselves, we expect too much of our kids, and then we set ourselves up for failure, something terrible. And for us, that time came in the teenage years when our oldest, Michael, turned 18. It was like somebody threw a light switch, wasn't it?
Yes, he decided that as soon as he turned 18, he was now an adult, and he was going to do whatever he wanted to do.
And then we were having to tolerate this bad behavior that we knew was going on, and at the same time, still love him.
Yeah.
Others were telling us we ought to just throw him out. And we chose not to. But we went several times to LDS Family Services therapy, and the therapist said something: if you really want your son back one day, don't throw him out today.
Yeah.
And so the hardest thing was keeping him at home and still loving him and not being able to approve of the behavior choices. Because he was also suicidal and very depressed. Fortunately, he made the choice, I've got to do something, and he chose to go into the Navy, which has worked out fabulously well for Michael. He's done some pretty scary things. He's been to Afghanistan and all that sort of stuff, and he's a pretty highly decorated hero. And now he's serving on board the USS Constitution. That didn't end the challenges, because next came Joseph, and Joseph, our youngest son, decided to be rebellious a lot sooner than 18. I suspected drugs. I think we both did. And it turned out not to be. Within just a couple of days, we made a decision to put him in the Westridge Academy Residential Treatment Center. Used to be the Boys Ranch. He was suicidal too, and I'm convinced we would have lost him if we hadn't gotten help. And the people at Westridge Academy saved his life. So now we have Joseph back. I just think now of how great it is to have a kid with normal problems. If it turned out he had severe sleep deprivation, and it was really, really bad. Hallucinations and just bad behavior and all those kind of things, which without help we wouldn't have realized what was wrong. What have you learned after going through all of this?
Despite the behavior and the choices that they make, I need to love the child. And I also learned that it's going to take time. I'm not going to be perfect during mortality, and I should not expect the same of my children. And that if I'm patient with them, as Heavenly Father is patient with me, that things will work out in the end. He loves them more than I can even imagine. We
need to understand that our kids aren't going to be perfect in a day, a week, a month, or even a few years. We've got to give them time to do that. Just because they go off and go on a mission, they're not going to come home and be perfect.
No, they're not.
You know, that return missionary is going to come home and they may not be acting like you think they ought to. And so I should mention we've got 2 missionaries that are serving, and we're so grateful for them. David is in the Oregon Portland mission, and Katie is in the Texas Lubbock mission. And they're just so enthused and so bubbly and just making great missionaries. We're all imperfect, and we need to accept that and be patient with ourselves and be patient with our kids, and then we can reach perfection. Don't you think?
I do.
I think we need at least another week or 2 for our family.
Oh yeah, I'd say maybe 10 days.